Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Big announcement. I am 148 days sober.
Woo.
I haven't been checking how many days it's been, but for this video, I went and looked, and I really kind of wish it would have been a nice number, like 150.
150, we're so close.
But we're filming this prior to when it's going to go live. So when it's actually live on YouTube and you're seeing it, then I'll be past 150. So I'm pretty much 150 days sober by math. But today we're answering the question, is Hannah to blame for my 10-year drinking problem?
I love that question. I love it. Thanks for asking it so many times in the first video about Shane's alcohol issue.
Yeah, can you explain why we're even talking about this?
Yeah, so your arm.
It sounded
Shane's
like
armrest.
half of my chair just broke.
No, his armrest is loose and I leaned on it. I didn't break anything. In the first video talking about Shane's alcohol issues and his sobriety.
It's alcoholism, we can call it that.
Yeah, we called it alcohol dependency, which I thought was like a...
I also don't even know what the proper word is these days, but I'm not skirting around alcoholism, which is what it was anyway.
So in that video, we got a lot of comments that basically saying like, Hannah provided the alcohol to you.
Yeah.
So like, why would she do that? She caused this issue. Like, she should have just said no and not given you alcohol. And so we're gonna respond to that. And then it kind of connects to like a broader theme that is brought up a lot in our videos. Like when we go outside and it's cold and Shane's like, I didn't wear a coat today, like I didn't want to. And we get comments that are like, Hannah should just put a coat on Shane.
Yeah.
Just that whole idea of like me making decisions for Shane that I think are best and forcing them upon him. We're gonna talk about why that's not right.
So let's find out, did Hannah enable Shane's alcoholism? Here we go.
Hello.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
Welcome to the show.
It's time
To talk
about
our lives.
We're gonna get into this topic in a minute, but first we want to thank the sponsor of this video, Grow Therapy.
Grow Therapy is building a better kind of therapy. They're making it easier to access, more affordable, and made to fit real life.
There are no long wait lists, so you can book in as little as 2 days, and there are appointments available at night and on weekends.
I've used Grow Therapy myself, and I literally got an appointment 2 days later.
And when you're looking for a provider, you can filter by identity, gender, faith, and more. Grow works with over 100 insurance plans, including Medicaid in some states. Sessions cost an average of $21 with insurance, with some paying as little as $0 depending on their plan.
You pay per session, so there are no subscriptions and no hidden commitments. It's really important to Hannah and I that we work with brands that we trust, and because of Grow's transparent practices, we really trust what they do, and we genuinely believe that they are making therapy better and more accessible, and we think that you should check them out.
Go to growtherapy.co/Squirmy and Grubs to get started with therapy that fits you.
Thank you again to Grow Therapy for sponsoring this video. Yeah, so a few months ago, we posted a video about my drinking problem that I've dealt with for 10 plus years and became a pretty big negative thing in my life, and then I got sober, and blah, blah, blah. And in that video, explaining that I had a drinking problem, so many comments made the implication, or flat out said it explicitly, that Hannah was an enabler of my drinking, and that the whole drinking problem could have and should have been avoided by Hannah, the person that had to physically get the beer out of the fridge for me, should have just not done that. And then the whole thing would have taken care of itself. I wouldn't have been able to put beer in my body physically, and so then I wouldn't have had a drinking problem. The end. Neat and tidy. There we go. Mm-hmm. And it shocked us how many people were like, Hannah just shouldn't have given him beer. Like, a good number of real people felt that Hannah should have denied me what I was asking for to solve my drinking problem.
Yes.
That is not okay.
And before we get into it, like, there's a difference between me cutting Shane off, like, if he got drunk. A reasonable person, like, if a bartender sees you, like, too drunk, people can cut other people off.
Right.
But that is not what we're talking about. We are talking about Shane coming home and being like, I really want a beer, and me saying, no, I don't think you should have a beer, and so you're not going to have one.
We've talked before about the idea of autonomy, and maybe the people that left those comments about Hannah being an enabler didn't see those videos. But in case you don't know, autonomy is a person's ability to control their own life.
Make decisions.
Make decisions for their own self and their own body. And it's a very important part of being a human, especially a disabled human who relies on other people for physical assistance with a lot of activities of daily living. Even though Hannah is the one putting my clothes on me in the morning or putting me in my wheelchair, helping me get breakfast, I still have autonomy because I am directing that stuff for my life. Even so far as, like, I am choosing Hannah to be my caregiver to help provide those things. If I wanted, I have the autonomy to hire a caregiver or go live in a nursing home, and in the same way that I have the autonomy to say to Hannah, I would like to wear my red sweater today. Well, today I said black. Or I would like to stay in bed for another hour. And we are able to communicate about things like that as a couple, separately from the way that we communicate it as caregiver and care recipient.
Yeah.
So, if I want to stay in bed all day, Hannah can say to me as my wife, Shane, we have work to do. And I was hoping we would go to the movies, and then I can either listen to that or I can be a terrible, terrible person and say, nope, don't care. But I have the autonomy to, if I wanted, be a terrible person and say, nope, I'm staying in bed all day. And if I didn't have that, I'd be losing my humanity. Does that, am I taking it too far?
No. Where would you draw the line with what decisions I would make for Shane? Like, if I woke up every day and was like, I'm going to make Shane do whatever I think is best for him, what is his life at that point? It's a second life for me to be living. Like, it's not, that's just not a life. So, and people with disabilities have the right to make bad decisions. Like, that doesn't only go for, like, if I think Shane's making the right ones, I'm like, keep it up. Like, you're doing a great job. He can make a bad decision. And also, like, when we go back to the alcohol thing, it's not like every day Shane was like, I'm an alcoholic and I want more beer. And I was like, yeah, here you go. Like, that was not the conversation we were having. The idea that Shane had an alcohol issue is something that he had not come to terms with, like, wouldn't accept until very recently. And like I said, it wasn't like he was getting super drunk and I was like, take another beer. Like, that's just not what it was. And so
that would have been great. But and yet, like, we did have plenty of disagreements about my drinking. As my wife, Hannah was often like, do you really need a drink right now? Do you really need another one?
Yeah.
And we would have arguments about it. But she never, in the 10 years that she has been helping me get alcohol, she has never once said, no, I'm not doing that for you.
Yeah.
Like when I was telling her, no, I want it.
Yeah, and we would fight about it, and I would be like, you shouldn't do this. I don't want you to have this beer or whatever. As his wife, I would express disapproval. We'd get into a fight about it. Maybe we wouldn't talk for an hour, but I would get the alcohol, and then I would storm away angrily.
Yeah. If Hannah had said, no, I'm not getting the alcohol for you, even though I'm asking her for it, that would be Hannah asserting her ability over me.
Yeah.
And erasing my autonomy in favor of hers because I am disabled and she is not. And I think that for some of the people leaving comments saying Hannah should have just not given him beer, they need to question what they believe about disability. Do you think that disabled people have the right to make decisions for their own lives? The answer should be yes. But I do feel like many of you that left those comments might not be thinking that way. I think you believe that disabled people are less than, and therefore able-bodied people who you view as better should make decisions for them, and that is not okay. If I want to have a drinking problem, I am allowed to have a drinking problem, and I did. I executed that right of mine. But we get this all the time. Like when people see a photo of me outside not wearing a coat, they all blame Hannah, and it's like, you need to remember that she's not my mom.
Yeah.
She is my wife, and she's my caregiver, but I am directing the care for my life. Otherwise, I don't have a life.
Yeah.
So I hope that this helps everyone, especially the people that left those comments, understand a little bit more about autonomy and why it's so important for disabled people.
Yes.
Now let's put it to the test. 148 days sober. Hannah, can I have a martini?
It's not funny.